family and friends. So nice to see you tonight. I want to check one thing before I get started. I just want to put this thumbnail here. If I can do this. Okay, thank you so much. I forgot to put on the thumbnail. We are traveling. We have a little more time to travel, and then we'll be heading home. We had a busy but pleasant day in a different place than we're usually. We've been enjoying some stream details fail to be updated. Try again. Okay.
So you can't.
Hold on a second. No, it's not that one. It's this. All right, they won't let me update. You know, while I'm on the subject, I want to mention. Let me get the chats going here. Hey, Danny. Hey, Andrew D. Smith. Anyone who's watching this channel, I may repeat this again, but we're already starting to get some slack on YouTube. So if you're watching me from YouTube, I highly suggest, and if you really like our broadcast and you feel like part of the community, I highly recommend you open up an X account and go to eWebstar13
And the locals.
and locals, right? Locals even better on Rumble. We're thinking of moving the platform a little more over to the locals channel. I know a lot of people have been very graciously subscribing to locals, but it appears as though YouTube is mounting some kind of opposition force to it. We have 11,000 on YouTube now. Remember, I had 60,000 on YouTube, and they took me down. They've been taking me down ever since. God bless your algorithm. Yeah. So the key point, and I think this is a fascinating, and perhaps this really requires more analysis. But the thing that YouTube objects to most strongly, and this has been throughout my tenure, my actually 10 years of really broadcasting, I think it comes to about 10 years, that YouTube has a real problem with what they call medical misinformation. And that is that you are not allowed to question the traditional medical corporate structure. You're not allowed on YouTube to voice any opinion that denigrates their efforts to really do us I'm hesitating to use the words, but I am not without with the opposite of life, to do the opposite of life to us. That seems to be the intent of a lot of the medical practice. So if you're not aware of that, there's a great clip. I'm going to play a clip. I'm going to go right to this clip. Just to remind, hit the like button. Yeah. So, but interestingly enough, and this just shows you kind of where everything is holding in this moment. And in a way, it's never been about, if I'm not on YouTube, I'm not going to be able to broadcast. I've been ducking and weaving for years. And I've had 14 channels removed. I had my whole livelihood removed. And it doesn't seem to really have a lasting effect on our permanence as a community. However, the fact that they are so sensitive to being criticized, they love us to pieces, right? I mean, that of all things to pick, I can say all kinds of things about the corporation, about the bankers, about all these things, but the medical thing is something that they're holding on to for dear life. That seems to be a key piece to their sovereign reign, that they feel this is a critical piece of them that is above analysis, above criticism. And it's so interesting. But the videos they're taking down are from our lifestyle channel. It's not the main broadcast. The main broadcast, I think, we're very clearly aligning ourselves against this this tyrannical Holocaust against humanity. But it is the lifestyle channel where we question in a granular way, not even quite so much questioning it. I don't feel like the lifestyle channel openly criticizes big pharma and the like. But the fact that we are examining possibilities, we're examining other ways of doing things, alternatives. We are examining alternatives to big pharma and big medicine that really work. I used to ask Dr. Stacy and the LifeWave community, in order to survive, you are not allowed, according to what I forget which organization it is, but the FTC or one of those broadcasting umpire systems, that you're not allowed to say that your product heals anything. I'm not allowed to say, according to this system, according to the mainstream system, I'm not allowed to say that the LifeWave product heals X, or even to say it is healing. To say LifeWave is healing in the same sentence from my understanding, is not permitted online, and that there'll be all kinds of strikes. Just like I got a strike recently because I played a video that had some song in it. What was the song?
Pink Panther theme song.
The Pink Panther theme song was on the video, and I got my video taken down. So it's to me, it's fascinating to examine the this is the equivalent to metacognition for us. And they say that people who are metacognitive are the most intelligent people in the world. What does that mean? I mean, it's a big word saying that people who think about what they think about, who are consciously aware of what they're thinking about, are on a very high level, versus people who react to things and just, well, hey, that's my parking space. How could he do that to me? And then you totally lose sight of your own examination of your thinking. You stop thinking about your thinking and you start emoting and you start reacting to things. And that's probably how most of humanity operates. They go from insult to compliment to compliment. They go from, you can't say that to me, or I don't like when you do this, or I don't approve of this. And that becomes that clouds their whole existence. So that they become that resistance to themselves. So the idea of metacognition, that people who are metacognitive are aware of their thinking. For example, I might say, yeah, I remember I went to the store yesterday and I was thinking about this. And that's really kind of how I do live. I can remember, in other words, I experience the store not about like, well, I didn't like this cashier, I didn't like that, I like this product, I experienced the store as, well, I was in the store and I was thinking about this. And that's called like metacognition. That's really me thinking and remembering more about what I'm thinking about than what actually happened. That's how I live, because I enjoy thinking, and I enjoy thinking about thinking. And I enjoy remembering what I was thinking about thinking when this experience happened or that experience happened. And in that sense, if you're in that kind of a mode, nothing really happens in your world. Y- You're not affected by the news because the news is just like, okay, so President Trump just cleaned up Memphis. This is huge. This is a huge thing that he did. He cleaned up a place that seemed criminally insane and unsolvable. And they just sent in the military and cleaned it right up in a couple of weeks. So if I was in a reactive mode, I'd be like, well, this is either, if I'm a Democrat, I'm thinking, well, that's terrible. He sent in the military and this is tyrannical and all. I've had all these reactions. So the Democrats are so busy reacting to things that they're not living in a state of metacognition. They're not calm enough to do that. But what we're doing here in on this channel and in this time space, in our time together, is we think about the kind of broader issues of collective consciousness. Like, what is the world thinking? What were they thinking about when this happened? What were they thinking about? I had a very pleasant conversation with the gentleman who is arranging for us, who owns the Airbnb apartment that we were habitating in, about people's reaction to things. About we were actually talking about chemtrails, and I said to him, I said, just look at the chemtrails, and he looked at me with such joy. He says, you see it too? With that we were confirming to each other that we're not just crazed lunatics that happen to notice that something is going on, that the government is doing something that is not kosher. And that he was so relieved that somebody else understood this thought, because a lot of people, again, we're sort of analyzing ideas and the reaction of the collective. A lot of the collective is just like, no, that can't be. What, chemtrails? And I have people that are relatively highly lucid, intelligent people that are just like, Ellie, that's ridiculous. You can't. So he was so relieved to find somebody that understood that thought is permissible to me. So that, in a way, that's thinking about thinking on a collective scale. And that's really what we do here. We don't really report on today President Trump talked about cleaning up Memphis. He just ended, he got a surrender from Iran, whatever that means. But I thought to myself, President Trump and the White Hats, even though it took them a long time to say, thank you for registering for the Republic. It's so important. Thank you, Monica. It's that President Trump and the White Hats, even though you and I went through years of setup here, years of like, okay, in 2020, even before 2020, when George Bush Sr. was executed and they had a funeral. Actually, let's talk about the inauguration in 2020, which is 6 years ago. I was telling my friends at synagogue then, I was religious then, that there's no way the inauguration is going to go down. And now that I'm thinking about it, I was right. It wasn't a real inauguration, but I expected it to go down like they're going to arrest Joe Biden, they're going to arrest all the Democrats, they're going to arrest all the people who cheated in the elections in 2020 publicly. They did. They probably did a lot of that, but we didn't see it. We didn't hear about it. Remember, I talk about the difference between seeing and hearing. That seeing is something that you're kind of faced with, but it's seeing is believing, perhaps. It's not as deep as an experience as hearing, because hearing implies you have to understand something. Oh, I heard about this. What does it mean? I heard about the chemtrails. What does that mean? Look into cyber knife for cancer. I don't know how much a friend said that worked well for his wife, right? But I would point people towards ivermectin and fenbendazole in terms of dealing with cancer. It's it seems to me that that would be the way to go. There's chemtrails. I have photos to prove it. Right. So we all do. There's no question that the chemtrails are real. That's not the issue. The question is, is a person on a metacognitive level where they can appreciate that it exists? People who don't believe in chemtrails do not see chemtrails. And this is in alignment with the short video I put out this morning, which I suspected would not get a lot of hits, because people want to hear about events. They want to hear about what's really going on. They want to hear about what's President Trump doing about this, not realizing that none of that is even, there's nothing in terms of the time sequence. None of it is real at all, at least in my opinion. Like Derek Johnson really goes into that idea that a lot of this has been accomplished. The war with Iran, some people say, happened a long time ago. Maybe the first time they attacked it, they took out Iran. We don't know what we're getting, but I will say that after all this cascading of information from when Q started posting and on, now things are ramping up in terms of how much time it takes for a war to be conducted in a couple. Think of let's go back to the war against the Taliban and against supposedly against bin Laden in Afghanistan. This was years. Or Iraq. We're talking years, months. Now we're talking weeks. We're talking, they went into Memphis. This is, to clean up a crime-filled city. That you're talking about a 10, 20-year project. He does it in a couple of weeks, a couple of months. It's done. So what is time really? If you experience time in the way they taught us in school, which is they all taught us timelines in school. Like the War of 1812, and then the Civil War, and then to instill into us the idea that time was a linear, measurable, real thing. But it turns out it's not so much. And now we're seeing time speeding up. A lot of people are saying that it feels like time is speeding up. And certainly the approach to serious global issues, which the deep state would wallow in for years, a good juicy war. This is an opportunity for Satanists to kill so many beautiful young men. It's just like, wow, man, we are in our element. This is when the deep state really, they make money on both sides from military expenditures, and they kill off lots of handsome young men and women, and kidnap all the children and take them underground and eat them. I mean, this is a picnic event for the deep state. But Trump has eliminated, taken this satanic way approach to life, where things take forever, and condensing them into action, where you don't have to, like if somebody like Obama or even let's say Bush would be answerable, or the previous presidents, if if God forbid they started a war and a couple of civilians got hurt, the whole war would have to kind of like suspend things and the rules would change and the soldiers would be told, take it easy, man. I mean, don't hurt anybody and this kind of thing. They weren't interested in results, in really saving lives and getting it done the way President Trump has done, as evidenced by most recently the announcement from like a top soldier on the ground in Iran. He made an announcement to the people, to the Iranian people, stay in your houses right now, and I'll let you know when it's safe to come out because your government does not care if you're alive or dead. And that's what we've been dealing with. And we never would have thought, well, wait a minute. Israel and the Arabs are working together. I'm not talking about Israelis. I'm not talking about the Yidden or the Jewish people. I'm talking about the governments that run the world, where the deep state that was running the world are in cahoots with each other. So that's why the deep state within the Israeli government that was in charge of security on October 7th, they had no problem letting the border get relaxed, so because they knew an attack was coming from Hamas. In other words, the same people, they were on the same team. And that's what people are seeing that. They're seeing that this deep state they're transnational, as Brian Cates so wonderfully puts it. This is a transnational criminal organization. They don't care about countries. They don't care about people. They care about how many people they're able to eliminate, how many people they're able to make sick so that they get lots of money. But they don't even really need the money because they can print money. They just want you to be so busy that you don't notice who's really causing the problem. And that's the big idea here, that Q and the intelligence operation that called Q wanted to reveal to us that things were not as they appear, that 9/11 was not done by an Egyptian terrorist hiding in Afghanistan in the mountains. The guy was probably on a beach somewhere. I mean, whatever. But this revelation of humanity, and how did he have to reveal it? He had to reveal it by showing and not telling. And the showing was the vaccine experience and the election theft. Now it's going to boomerang on these creepazoids and the ones who haven't been executed. Oh, we have our friend Chucky's back. Hey, man, what's up, brother? So good to see you. Yeah, I love that you reveal yourself so easily. I love it, Chucky, man. You're awesome. Thank you. Thank you for coming by and being so right, so obvious. I'm here too. Okay, so you got grassroots. Are you a manager? I don't know. I forget sometimes. Yeah. Yes. Okay, Chucky can go. Well, isn't the 100-year war right? They're very happy to have long wars, and the situation in Memphis, the crime situation. This could have been look at the war on drugs. Look, they've been conducting the war on drugs since I was born. Basically, I mean, for 50, 75 years, and yet the war on and that the drug was the issue was never solved in the slightest, because they don't want it solved, because they are the big drug pushers. That's the bottom line. Thanks, grassroots. There are laws against them in a few states. Don't believe they. Look it up. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I lived in Memphis in the 80s. It was beautiful. I'm happy to read resident says it's safe and clean again. Yeah, it is a beautiful place. I had some of the most impactful, meaningful experiences of my life in Memphis, Tennessee. And I've only was there for maybe a week or two tops. But some of the most powerful experiences of my life happened to me in Memphis. Hey, Shelby, watching on YouTube and Rumble. Yeah, moving around. Yeah, those of you who are on YouTube, just be warned that I'm starting to get warnings. I'm getting videos taken down. So I'm not gonna broadcast my lifestyle channel, my Thursday afternoon channel. Actually, it's 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We talk about health issues. We talk about LifeWave, and we talk about immunotech and immunocal. And again, I just want to remind everyone, Daniela keeps reminding me that if you're interested in trying out immunocal, immunotech, please, and I suggest, really, I think everybody should be checking out immunotech as well as LifeWave. They go hand in hand. But please, there's a $1, you can, for $1 you can try out immunocal for 5 days. I highly recommend you get a hold of Norman and just ask him, could you sign up for $1? You'll get 5 days worth of immunotech.
And you get the 30% off for life.
And you for life?
Well, while you're signed up, yeah.
And you would get a 30% discount if you sign up. If you sign up for immunotech, immunocal, you will get a 30% discount, which is quite significant. It's an amazing technology that's been used in South America and Europe for 20, 30 years. It's a well-established, they have all kinds of proof. But this revolves around strictly or basically good health, but also about the production of glutathione by you ingest a whey protein in various boosters, which is like 20 different organic vegetables in a powder, or fruits and vegetables, and you eat this first thing in the morning or during the day. These are the precursors for glutathione in your body. So this gives the body the ability, the building blocks to produce glutathione, similar to the patches. And the patches stimulate certain pathways within your body that are healing. So if you're at all interested in really in the level of health that we feel is important and responsible and good, give Norman a call. He's also just a great guy to reach out to. But he's our guru on terms of health and eating and all that, because he was in the organic food business for 40 odd years. He's done everything in the food business. So he really knows his stuff and he studies it all the time. We consider him Dr. Norman. So if you reach out to Dr. Norman, say you want to sign up or you want to try the 30% discount of the immunotech, it's similar to LifeWave. You can make a living at it. It's apparently the payback is a little higher.
Yeah, 80%.
It's 80%, something like 80%. You get 80%. What that means, I'm not sure. But you could find it out on our lifestyle channel on Thursday afternoon at 7 p.m. But we will not be broadcasting on YouTube. I'm not going to broadcast that channel on YouTube anymore because it's YouTube is going crazy about, here we have a healing situation, and they just they're taking down my videos right and left.
It's not every week though.
It's not every week they're taking them down, but they are taking them down. Oh, excuse me, I could drink this like I have coffee. So that's a little side note. Okay, let's go back to this thought. The way that the evil ones hide is, and if you're not seeing this banner at the bottom of the screen, you can get a hold of Norman at 443 443-865-0524. Again, 443-865-0528. That's Norman. And you can ask Norman about the Immunotech. You'll get 30% discount until Wednesday. So if you're interested in trying out Immunotech, or you could buy for $1, you could get 5 days worth of Immunotech. So you could really try out the product. Okay, let's go back. So I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna go back to chats. Hey, Wade, war on drugs, right? They want it this way because they're the ones who are selling the drugs. That's what the Vietnam War was all about. They were taking the opium and shipping it to. They're the big drug pushers. Just like with the war against terrorism, that the aspects of the Israeli government was involved in perpetuating Hamas. So you would never think, no normal person would think that these people are that sinister and that evil, and that it's all about child trafficking. So, okay. So, yeah, Memphis, I have a lot, I'll tell some stories later about Memphis, but not today. I don't think. Let me show you this video, because I think this really captures the essence of what I'm talking about, which is that you would, in a million billion years, you would never ever, like a regular person, the way they laid out the matrix, within the context of this matrix, you would never ever question authority on the level that they need to be questioned. In other words, they're all connected, whether it be big tech, big pharma, big nutrition, big clothing. I mean, we don't, Danielle and I don't wear any synthetic fabrics. We don't want them on our body. We feel that they're vibrationally inhibitive. They're not good for you. They don't give you the ability to have good vibes, which sounds very airy-fairy, but it's actually a biblical thing. There's a biblical rule in Orthodox Judaism not to mix wool and linen. So this an awareness of the effect of fabrics on your body is like a fundamental truth, just like all the healing things that are not pharmaceutical, that were eliminated from our reality. They were told that that's just like airy-fairy stuff. Was in that war. He said he was hauling the drug out of Vietnam. Right. It's insane. Who would think of this? So let me play this clip. I think this clip is, if I can find this, was really interesting. Let's see if scientists confirm the Schumann residence is okay. It's very high up. I think it was back here a bit. I think this is it. Yeah. Okay. I want to show this video. And this video, like you'll hear what it says, but and this is like a central theme. I had a, anyway, let's just play the clip. I'll go into, metacognitive aspects of my communication with you. Okay, thinking about thinking. Let's go to this clip. Oh, I have to put it on here first. Okay, here we go.
I don't anymore. Because when you actually look at how the system is designed, you start to see the same structure repeated everywhere. Self-checking, self-policing, self-regulating. The same entities that make the rules are the ones enforcing them. The same entities enforcing them are the ones reviewing themselves. And the same entities reviewing themselves are the ones declaring everything lawful. That's not oversight, that's a closed loop. In a system with real checks and balances, power is reviewed externally. Decisions are tested by independent actors. Accountability doesn't come from inside the same chain of command. But when everything is internal, language replaces limits. Words replace accountability. Process replaces justice. That's how the same conduct continues under different names. That's how prohibited actions survive by being rebranded. That's how outcomes stay the same while terminology changes. And when there's no external check, there's no balance. When there's no balance, there's no transparency. And when there's no transparency, there's no accountability. At that point, the system isn't correcting itself, it's protecting itself. This isn't about one agency, one court, or one official. It's about a design that allows power to answer only to itself. And any system that checks itself, polices itself, and clears itself will always find that it did nothing wrong. That's not a theory. That's how closed systems behave.
Yeah, I thought that was, what happened? I thought that was a very interesting little clip about how they police themselves, how their accountability, and you just assume that the FDA or the CDC or any of the, or the UN or any of these bodies, that they're really looking out for people who are doing things that are dangerous for humanity. But it's just the opposite. They're just changing the names, changing the way it appears, and allowing people to do the same thing. Where do I find Immunotech? Right. You just call Norman. Call or text Norman. That's the way to do it. Let me just put up the information again, because this is good for everybody. Let's see. Oh, I have Norman's.
Or you could put his email too.
I'll show his email. But we had this up here. Oh, here it is. What happened? I can't save. Okay, let me show now. Okay, so it's Norman Immunotech, NZ Wagil at protonmail.com. That's Norman, said NZWAGIL at protonmail.com, or call or text 443-865-0528. This could be saving our lives. This could be removing nanoparticles, because it activates glutathione in your system. Just like we put on the glutathione patch every day from LifeWave, Daniela and I,
For traveling.
especially when we're traveling. We use the glutathione, the master antioxidant, that without it, the other antioxidants can't function as well, according to Norman. I highly recommend you come to our lifestyle channel at 7 o'clock. But you can get a hold, if you want to try out the product, it will cost you $1 for 5 days supply, so you can try it out, or you can get a 30% discount on this product that's been used for 30 years in Europe and Mexico. It's an amazing technology, and it works very well, in our opinion, with the LifeWave product. If it's too much for you, I understand. But if you're really aggressive, you want to be really aggressive about your health and maintaining a kind of youthfulness to your operating faculties, until the med beds come along. I don't doubt that the med beds are coming, but I don't believe in waiting for anything. And this is critical. I put out okay, so that's that on that. Let me go back. So you guys get it? Everybody see it? Can everyone see? I know some people don't see the this is low on the screen. 48 talked about the hemp bars, and they've started exciting. We'll have a great life wearing hemp clothing. Yeah, we also wear a little bit of hemp clothing. It's very good. I never used it, but everyone I knew did. Oh, cannabinoids, right, are very medicinal. Yes, absolutely. I'm not saying this is the only way, but this is a way that we feel is very good for dealing with heavy metals, nanoparticles, this sort of thing. Okay, so let's go back to the thought stream. Hey, Nancy, how you doing? let's go back to the thought stream. And yeah, let me, while we have Nancy here, let me just remind everyone, and we appreciate everyone joining the Republic. Okay, so if you can see the screen, it says republicforusa.org. Just try that website and just go to the upper left-hand corner. There's a bunch of like lines, press that, and they'll ask for all your contact information. You should hear from them fairly soon. This is where we're going. I was talking this morning, I made a short video. I don't know how it did, but I suspect it wasn't very popular. Wasn't very popular, right? Because I wasn't saying, well, I think really what's going to happen in Iran is Trump's going to, when I put out videos like that, I get tens of thousands of hits. But when I put out a thing about metacognition, which is so important and it's so essential, and not everyone is apparently ready to think about their thinking. What I said this morning, for the best of my ability to recollect, is that if you believe that AI is going to take over the world and it's a done deal and there's no hope for humanity, that you will activate that timeline. You will be part of, you're choosing that experience. Now, this is something that not everyone is ready to understand. Your thoughts, your thinking is not just, okay, I was thinking about this and, that's very nice. If you're a focused person, you're focused on the Republic, for example, like Nancy is totally focused on reestablishing the Republic. That's Nancy. She's focused. So every part of her reality, everything that she says is related to this. And that's just, so she, for example, she will be operating under constitutional law in the Republic. She will be one of the people who will experience that reality. Now, somebody who's focused on the destruction of humanity through AI, they may have the experience to go through that reality as well. That's just a possibility of how this thing works. But you can see it playing out. The vast majority of humanity is invested in the continuance of the matrix. And that's what the evil ones are depending upon. So they will probably experience the matrix until they die. They are choosing to die in the matrix. They will have, in other words, reality is created by us. Quite simply and quite plainly put, you choose your thoughts determine your reality, and you can see it playing out. People who are hell-bent on the misery and I had a friend of mine years ago, and he was just, everybody picked on him. And he just had the attitude that he was a bitter man, even like as a child. He was just an angry person and convinced that the world, and he continued to have that experience. It's these, and you can't tell them, you're thinking about this so much and you're creating your reality. You can't tell them that. They'll laugh in your face and it'll piss them off. But it's clear to me, or it seems clear to me, that we choose our reality. And there are, like Dolores Cannon says, there are two basic pathways. If you're thinking negatively, you're going to go into the negative eternity. If you're thinking positive and like you're like Nancy and you're waiting for the Republic, she is going to experience the Republic one way or another. She is determined. That's going to be her narrative. So we choose our reality 110%, in my opinion. I have chosen my reality to live off grid and to, but it wasn't a single thought. It wasn't like I said to I said to Daniela, you know, let's just buy some property in Arizona and go live off grid. It didn't go down like that. I was just like, I want to get out of the matrix. So the universe guided me in that direction. You don't have to like have a, well, I'm going to grow up and be, you know, that's what the Matrix wants. Well, you're 5 years old in the town I grew up in Scarsdale, New York. You're 10 years old. By 10 years old, you should know, well, you're going to either be a doctor or a lawyer. If you're not one of those people who's already figured it out, you're going to be, okay, I'm going to be a lawyer because I like history. I'm going to be a doctor because I like science. You know, by 10 years old, by 50, but certainly by 15 or 16, you're halfway through high school. If you haven't chosen your destiny by then, you're a lost soul. Like I was just like, I don't know. I wanted to play music. I mean, that was not one of the options. That was not on the menu. So people were just like, you know, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. You know, he's a nice guy, but he's crazy. He wants to be a musician. Now you hear all these country artists and everything writing songs about, you know, they stuck to it and they became musicians and they became successful. I didn't have that experience. I was a very you know, in terms of the Matrix, I was a very thank God I was unsuccessful, because if I was successful, I'd end up like Bob Dylan worshiping Satan. That's the music business. I thought, you know, I want to be in the music. I want to be successful in the music, but I didn't want it that bad that I would sacrifice my reason, the basic structure of my moral framework. But we choose, it's my opinion anyway, that we choose our reality, and that if you're a person who thinks about thinking, and you're having a thought about, like, if I get a thought that's about, man, this whole thing sucks. You know, I don't know what to even say. It doesn't make sense. I don't really like, I don't, you know, this guy, that guy annoys me. I don't like this. If I have that kind of a thought, I'm just, my mind automatically now, because I've trained my mind, just goes, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? Stop it. It's just an automatic, I get an automatic response. Or sometimes I'll just go like, I'll just I'll say, you need a deep breath, man. You need to, you know, what are you thinking? That's just not something we think about. In the old days, that's all I thought about, was how negative and how I couldn't do this and I was going to fail at that, and what's going to happen to me tomorrow. And, you know, you go into that pattern, that repetitious pattern of negativity, and you manifest that, and things happen. It's like, oh my God, the teacher wants me, you know, they're calling on me. You could have called on me at any time during the zillion years that I was in school, and I would have been, you know, you would have been like, huh? You know, like, some people knew how to pay. They say that the people who paid attention in class were matrix people, that people like you and I were not able to concentrate because it was not for us, and we were protecting our own souls by not getting involved in what the teacher was ranting about, and just saying, you know, I'm looking out the window, it's a beautiful day, or I'm looking at the, you know, the pretty people in my class, whatever it is. Yeah, Ellie for president. Thank you, Nancy. AI is a 3D timeline. Who in their right mind wants to stay in 3D? Right, but most people don't even get to that point where they know it's not the right mind. It took me a long time as well. 48 spoke about the hemp farms, right? Yeah, it's Republic. Yeah, the Republic. Yeah, so Nancy is like, you know, she embodies the Republic. She's probably an incarnation of Betsy Ross or somebody. You think we're just accidentally. I mean, I have some ideas. The people you're attracted to, historical figures you're attracted to, you probably have some kind of association with them. I don't listen to the chaos, right? Wars and stuff. Right. You stay on a positive timeline, but it's more than that. It's more than, yes, you should be positive, but at the same time, you also should be focused on what you want to create. And like I said, I did not know what I wanted to create. I just knew I wanted to move forward. And you know the story. I mean, I'm looking at Zillow, I'm looking at houses, and I'm like, I'm not going to live in that square little slave hut. I'm not doing it. And I kept looking. I said, this one, I even came to Arizona. I looked at a couple houses that were approaching affordable. They were not. And there were little hovels in not very nice situations. But it was, and then I saw this place, and a normal person, they saw 170 acres for 120 grand in the middle of, if I had done a little research, I would have figured out this place is in the middle of the, I called a real estate agent, for example, and she says, hold on, let me get back to you. And she checked out. She calls me back. She goes, you just bought a place on top of a mountain. There's no way to even get there. What do you do? Like a normal person would not have seen what I saw and done what I did, which is I'm like, I want to buy it. I didn't know. And my friend Josh is like, Ellie, did you go look at the place? I'm like, hell no. It seemed like a good thing to do, and I bought it. And I knew that because of my way of doing things, that I would make it work for me. I wasn't afraid. Like I would tell my neighbor came. I had this neighbor try to scare me away from the place. He says, this is the most horrible place to live in America. He said, the weather it's either, it's horrendous. The windstorms, the rattlesnakes, the mountain lions, they're everywhere, and I was just like, I don't care. I don't care. This is what I bought. I'm going to make it work. And we have, and we are. But it was not something that I planned. I said, let's just buy some acreage in the middle of the Mojave Desert. It just happened to me. And I just figured, well, this is just the universe telling me that this could be a good idea. So what am I saying? I'm just saying that you don't have to know exactly, in my opinion, where you're going. You just have to have you're just on the direction, and you're allowing yourself to experience divine providence, and the higher forces just telling you, okay, man, I think you should do this now. So I live by that now. I don't worry like, well, I got to figure out the roof design. Is there some expert who's going to help me with the roof? I just know that when I get to the roof, I'll build the roof. That's all. You just have to do the next step. That's another lesson, but mind their own. But most people, I think, I mean, God bless them. I was telling this to the wonderful man I met today who's renting us this place, that most people are too afraid. They're too afraid to think outside their reality. And it's not that they're bad people. It's just that that's where they're holding. They have a place in the matrix. Are they NCPs? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I've gone, think of all the dogs are wagged. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with Nancy that all wars are wag the dog. You see how these people are. They're all in on it together. The media, big pharma, big tech, politicians, Democrats and Republicans, it doesn't matter. My friend was telling me that they're all corrupt even on a local level. It's not just, the whole thing is rotten to the core, and they all correct themselves. Yeah, absolutely, Nancy. So let me look at a couple clips. I don't really know what I'm going to be talking about. And there's an energy that comes to me. It's just, and before I did this broadcast, I thought to myself, I have no idea what to say. I have nothing to say. It's just, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know from experience that as soon as I start, it just happens. And I think that's the way life is. You just go for it, and it will work out. You don't have to know where you're going. You just go. Just keep going. Keep producing. That's what Trump is. President Trump and the White House. They're just like, okay, we're going to have a war with Iran. This was not a war with the Iranian people. This is a war with the deep state, with an arm of the deep state, just like they're having a war with the arm of the deep state in Israel. And that's why I had to separate myself from the Orthodox community, because in the Orthodox community, they really believe it's us versus them, and they were not metacognitively aware enough to understand that us involves aspects at parts, people inside of our establishment that are actively supporting Hamas to keep us in this wag the dog perpetual nightmare of. That's why the Rothschilds established Israel, because they wanted to have a permanent conflict in the Middle East. So back when I was an Orthodox person, I would say the 6-Day War was a miracle. It was a godly miracle. Now I think, fuck that. It was not a godly. I mean, it was a godly miracle, but it wasn't. It was a controlled victory. This is what the deep state wanted at that time. The next war, it doesn't matter. It's like Nancy says, it's wag the dog. It's start the war and then figure out what we're going to tell people. Trump is not doing that. He is just taking out the deep state aspects, these reptilian hybrids. Let me show you. There's some really cool clips. Let's go to the clips. I'm sorry, I'm going off. Okay, so that was a really cool one. These ICE things are just crack me up totally. Breaking news, new cancer protocol, ivermectin, ketogenic diet, right, fasting, and fenbendazole. I mean, that's how we live. We don't eat until like noon or 2 or 4. We don't worry about food in the morning. We get a little edgy, Danielle and I. We get a little hangry, as she calls it. Okay, so let's go. You don't lose people during awakening. You see them clearly. Put ICE in every hospital, ER, and watch healthcare costs drop. This is an interesting clip. The Senate is the target. Okay, so listen to this clip. This is just mind-boggling to me. I have to stop sharing. I go to here, and then I go to here.
Law that all voting done in your Congress happen in an atmosphere higher than 15 to 18% oxygen, because all the reptilian shapeshifters would be out of your senators. Okay? It's very simple. And shapeshifters can't handle high oxygen in their environment. I specifically recommend that you pass a law that all voting done in your Congress happen in an atmosphere higher than 15 to 18% oxygen, because all the reptilian shapeshifters would be out of your senators.
Amazing, right? Okay, so that's a great clip. Let me show you some of these other clips that just a few of them that really affected me today. Okay, so that's a great one. Let's go. Let's keep on here. SWIFT, they're saying breaking just confirmed 25 plus major banks go live by June using blockchain for 24/7 cross-border payments. But here's the red pill they don't want you to swallow. This isn't their blockchain. SWIFT is quietly white labeling the XRP front end. Yes, Ripple XRP. So SWIFT is being run now by June by Ripple. We knew this. We saw this clip before. This is a great clip. For those of you who are worried about the hidden enemy within the Iranian sleeper cells, listen to this clip. This is just, I have to go here and here and listen to this clip.
In America, do you guys understand that the largest sleeper cell in America is the United States veterans? We have been fucking waiting for something to fucking happen. And I'm not joking. They may have 1,000, they may have a couple of thousand. Where are they going to hit? New York City, California? Who the fuck cares about those states anyway? Let them fucking blow those cities up. All right? But trust me when I say this. The largest sleeper cells in America is a United States veteran. Plain and simple. And we're fed up with shit.
I just think that's it. I just think for those people who are convinced that they're going to come and get us, all these worried fear thoughts are really matrix illusions that they create. What, baby? You okay? Yeah. Our matrix, they want to, they want to get you lost in fear. Okay, let me just show a few more little clips. Let me just see maybe some reading ones. Okay, so that's interesting. Breaking Obama on the run, distance. Disgraced former President Barack Obama has reportedly quietly applied for physical asylum in the UK. Scientists confirm the Schumann resonance is spiking at levels never recorded in human history. Your body is feeling it, whether you understand it or not. I want to thank ICE because they stepped in so strongly. I'll bring the National Guard if that doesn't work. The FBI just found 1.9 million pages of missing records in a secret hidden room at headquarters that was maintained by former directors James Comey and Chris Wray. According to the Judicial Watch FOIA, the sensitive compartmentalized information facility, the SCIF, contains several safes holding the docs, including ones generated from special counsel Mueller's investigation. Top secret unveiled U.S. military white hats expose elites' location data, flipping the game and with shocking ultimatum. As many as 29 states have had their laws overturned after the Supreme Court indicated they would rule against allowing mail-in ballots to come in after Election Day. So much is happening. I love these videos. I'm going to play this video just because it's such a laugh. Okay. I laugh just thinking about it. Okay, well, let's watch this video together. Okay, here we go.
Man, fuck this. Don't worry, just move along. Rising. Where is your passport? I lost it. Sorry, we can't let you in. Hold up! Take your shoes off! We need backup!
I'm on my way.
Dude, this won't fit in the overhead bin! Okay, you're good to go.
having way too much fun. But the idea of ICE taking over the security of the airport, they're putting out all these really hilarious videos about that. Okay, so that's really Awaken One. Hey, good to see you. How many veterans who would answer the call to defend if it came to that? And that's really the point. And that's why the UN wants to disarm everyone. I'm 76, and the boys in our generation went to college to avoid the draft. Also found out my aunt and uncle developed Agent Orange, which was repurposed as chemotherapy. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, listen, I was not planning to go to Vietnam. Fortunately, my draft number, I had a draft number I was like number 10 on the draft list. So I was heading to go over then the war ended. So thank God for me. But a lot of people went over there and served, and who knows? What can you say? What can we say? Who knew? Who knew how evil this whole, and how connected they are to each other, and how it's a criminal cartel. Anyway, so yeah, that's about it. I think I'm going to play, let's play this tune. And I think so. Here, let's play Believing the Matrix, just to get us an idea of what.
Living in the city, I was paying down my bills. One flat tire, and the whole thing went to hell. Credit cards for groceries, I'm deep in debt again. It's time to split this scene, walk with you, my friend. Leaving the Matrix, heading for the promised land. They stole our money, but they couldn't stop the plan. Let's go together, playing with the band. Leaving the Matrix, we're heading for the promised land. Stopped paying taxes, your insurance I don't need. The medicines are killing us, hospitals grow like weeds. Moved into paradise, I don't need no gassy cars. Fake news, endless wars, a satanic legal bar. Leaving the Matrix, heading for the promised land. They stole our money, but they couldn't stop the plan. Let's go together, playing with the band. Leaving the Matrix, heading for the promised land. My friends all tell me I lost control. Left my wife and job just to run down rabbit holes. But I can tell you one thing about my fall. Where we go one, we go all. Leaving the Matrix, heading for the promised land. They stole our money, but they couldn't stop the plan. Let's go together, playing with promised land. Leaving the matrix. We're heading for the promised land.
So we're heading for the promised land, but just keep thinking about your thinking. Keep your thoughts positive and allow your experience, your narrative to evolve in the direction that's you want. Because I really think this is a free choice kind of place. And if you want to experience complete annihilation, you'll be given that opportunity. So keep your thoughts. Hey, Ruta, they always travel the world, taking thousands of pictures. Interesting. Thank you, Awakened One. Work on developing paint. Yeah, there's all kinds of weird stuff we're finding out, right? Everyone was lied to. Yeah, absolutely. So let's just, may the force be with you. May you realize that you are the force. And that really means if you are tied into your essence, that you can't help but succeed, because it's not about stuff outside of you. Like, it's like my channel. It's like now I'm my YouTube channel is threatened. It doesn't really, it's disappointing to me that they haven't grown up yet and realized that they're probably hurting themselves more than helping themselves by doing this repeatedly. If they make me into the enemy, that's their creation, and I'm not going away. So, why would they keep doing this? Why don't they learn from the mistakes? Because they're reptiles and they're stupid and they smell bad, but that's a side point. But anyway, if you can increase the oxygen, that's what this guy is saying. If you increase the oxygen level in the space you're in, the reptiles can't shapeshift anymore. Same with the bells, right? You ring the bells. We had the experience today. We went into several Tartarian structures that were just beyond belief in the city we're visiting now. These buildings are everywhere, and there's no explanation for them. Our history was definitely tampered with. It just seems to make total sense, this great awakening that we're experiencing. So may force be with you. May you realize you are force. Keep your thoughts. Keep positive. Don't let the events affect you. Although the events right now are really stunningly wonderful. Cleaning up Memphis, cleaning up Iran, cleaning up Israel, cleaning up the world. Yes, there's going to be setbacks, and yes, there are going to be people who are going to try to scare you about it. But you don't have to go into their thing, and stay aware of your thoughts. Just keep track of your thoughts, because that's in my mind, that's how our higher selves communicate with us, is through our thoughts, mostly feelings too, experiences, things that people say to you, everything. May source be with you. May you realize you are intimately connected to source itself. And let's get out there with a big smile on our face and rock the world.